Greetings! Today we discuss our version of Little Microchips by Don't Stop or We'll Die, paper towel movie films, and so much more on this episode of Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast! Hey! Eureka! Bear Ghost is done it again! Bear Ghost is done it again! Hey!
Ahoy boogers! Welcome to episode 6 of Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast. This is the podcast where we plunge into the who's its and what's its galore of the inner workings of Bear Ghost. I've got the whole crew with me today. I got bass player Do.
That's me.
I got drummer Buttons.
What up?
And fan favorite Tigbot is back.
You learn bass. All right.
I think that was just a clip straight from Seinfeld. I mean, it sounded flawless.
Just straight playback.
Today is where the shit hits the pavement. A very regular saying that people say when they greet you on the streets.
Yeah. See this spot right here?
So when coming up with the idea for this podcast, this was immediately a song that I wanted to do. And then I was like, no one is going to want to hear this song. So today we are going to be covering the song Little Microchips by the band Don't Stop or We'll Die.
And Buttons just looked it up, and I think the YouTube video for this song has 1,700 views.
Get ready, Don't Stop or We'll Die, because this pod is going to bring it up to like, what, 1,800?
1,703.
I wonder. Don't Stop or We'll Die is a band made up of Michael Cassidy and Paul Rust, who maybe some of you know if anybody's seen Love. The
What a
Netflix
great
TV show. It's really, really good with Gillian Jacobs and Paul Rust. I'm trying to think of what else he's been in that you guys would know.
Doesn't he do more writing than...
I don't know. Look it up,
being in front of the
Tigbot.
camera? Okay, beep, boop, boop.
Take your time. It's all right.
Okay.
Slow modem grind.
Yeah.
Love was a Judd Apatow show that was written and acted in by Paul Rust. He was in I Love You, Beth Cooper, if anybody remembers that movie.
I did see that.
He was in the Between Two Ferns movie, which everybody remembers.
Sure.
He was in Saturday Night, that new Saturday Night Live movie. And then, of course, he was on the Comedy Bang Bang TV show. He's a really swell, very sweet gentleman. So is Michael Cassidy. You know, we invented this podcast, and immediately there was a bunch of copycats out there. But we like it when people come up to us and they say, hey, you inspired me to play guitar. We're not like, get the out of my area of expertise.
Yeah, that would be a horrible thing to do.
That's really inspiring. I mean, know your place, but thank you for telling us, you know.
He worked on Arrested Development.
Did he? What did he do in Arrested Development?
Story editor for 15 episodes.
Which season? Probably season 4.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Well, we don't like him anymore.
I like season 4. I think it doesn't get enough credit.
Tigbot, you're programmed to like everything.
That's
Name
true.
one thing you don't like.
I can't.
Having food on you.
Can't do it.
Having food on you.
Yeah. Do any computer programs like having food on them?
I don't know. Tigbot, what do you think?
I like it.
Okay, so Don't Stop or We'll Die is a band by Paul Russ and Michael Cassidy. They have a podcast where they do a song a week. On this podcast, they did a song called Little Microchips. I immediately fell in love with this song. It's just so catchy. I don't know how you don't fall in love with it. And then once it gets to the literally the first time I heard the song, I loved that part so much. And I was like, I wish I could cover this song just because I want to do that part. Now we have this podcast so I can force everybody to listen to whatever I want them to listen to. That podcast has been such a joy because all they do is goof off and then they show you a song at the end of the podcast that they wrote. It's one of many podcasts that I enjoy, but I mostly listen to improv comedy. So I'm really big on comedy.
Just really big on comedy.
I'm really big on comedy. Anything in the Comedy Bang Bang universe. Just so you guys know, that's not a recommendation from me. I'm not going out there being like, listen to this, because I'm sure a lot of fans will go and try and listen to Comedy Bang Bang now and be like, what the
What was the reasoning for them doing Little Microchips on their podcast?
Oh, they were trying to write a theme song for a children's television show that never existed.
Okay.
They also had another song called Lily Pad on Your Doorstep. This was a song that I really loved, and it starts off very sweet. It starts off with like a guy being like, you know, I've noticed something is really, really wrong with our relationship, and I see the way you're like creeping around. And he's trying to name what the reason is, and at the end he's just like, you f***ed a frog, I know it. And which is funny enough, and then it gets to the chorus, and the chorus is just like, I'm not mad, I'm just proud because I've been trying to f*** that frog all summer. And so the song is a great song, and I actually did like a piano cover of it on Instagram, and I made it even more somber than their version, and they reposted it. But beforehand, it was awesome because I don't know if it was Michael Cassidy or Paul Russ that I was talking to, but they were messaging me being like, this is really great. Can you mind if we post this? And I was like, Oh my gosh, absolutely, you can post it. Their original drummer was Harris Whittles, who is a writer for Parks and Recreation.
Oh, cool.
He's passed away.
Oh,
R.I.P. to a
that is
real
cool.
one. He was also a famous Comedy Bang Bang guest star. Yeah, so that's why they decided to write it, and then I just decided to cover it because I really loved it. And really, I'm just hoping that they'll notice me, Senpai.
Don't Stop or We'll Die has a song I really like, Once in a While. I think it's a great song.
I don't know it. Is it super? Oh, Take Me Out Once in a While. That song's great. Yeah. Did that just like come up on your Spotify algorithm?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
I didn't realize who I was listening to until you were mentioning them. And I was like, oh, that's Paul Russ band.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's like a genuinely good song.
Yeah, it is.
And that one, Harris Whittles is on as a drummer. So our version of this song doesn't really do much. I think I decided that it did not need another Little Microchips verse. And
It has enough little microchips
yes,
in it.
it also didn't need, this is just a conservative estimate, a 27-minute guitar solo. So I took that out. But the version that we've given you is also not the version I originally wrote.
Correct. Yes.
Originally, I wrote a version that had a bridge and a final post-chorus riff. I want a reason for people to listen to this song because, guys, I'm not stupid. I know that every single one of you is going to be like, that was a stinker, and move on, and this is destined to become the least listened to Bear Ghost song that's ever been released.
Now
But-
people will do it just in defiance. Oh, I'll listen to it.
Oh, fine. I'm going to prove him wrong. I'm going to get it tattooed on my body.
Bear Ghost's cover of
Just the
podcast
words.
throwaway song.
Just those words as a tattoo.
Can I just say I appreciate the first verse? You know, Master Chip, Pentium, 5G. Were these guys like IT people as well or something? Or are they just tech savvy
no, you
people?
can't say that.
Yeah. We should have talked about this before the podcast. Those are absolutely like taboo topics. You can't say any of that.
It's the last time
I'd
I
like
talked
an
on this
apology.
podcast. I apologize for appreciation of the lyrics of this video.
I don't even know how tech savvy they are. I think Master Chip and Pentium, these are all just like generic tech words.
Well, Pentium is a brand of Intel. Does anybody even know like
Well, you did,
macro?
but you are our resident
Yeah,
IT guy.
I know all this stuff. I thought it's hilarious. I just made me think like, were they at one point
it's
like
all-
into like tech or something?
TechBot also knows what they all are because he's made out of them.
Yes, I am made out of Pentium.
He's made out of little microchips. It's hard to eat. They're so tiny, little. These microchips, I can't.
choking hazard.
We know what our first snack is going to be from our Bear Ghost snack line.
Our first snack is going to be
Microchips.
little microchips.
a Don't Stop or We'll Die reference.
Microchips cereal. That's what it is. That's literally what it's going to be.
Potato chips for breakfast.
Gross. I've always dipped my potato chips in milk.
Oh God.
This song really encapsulates a word that I just created. Don't come at me, dude. And it also encapsulates, for those idiots who don't like new words out there, my silly little sense of humor. I just really like the lyric "microchips from the future, microchips from the past." It's very pleasant to me. It's a harmless, silly joke. They're not writing this going like, this is literally comic genius. They're writing it because it's goofy. It's funny because it's kind of not funny, sort of. Kind of like a cute anti-humor. Anybody that's seen Comedy Bang Bang, the television show, or other shows in that vein, you must be familiar with humor that's funny because it's kind of not funny.
I've heard this song so many times, and that still makes
Tell us
me...
how many.
Hold on, I'm counting. 2. And every time that the future and past thing still makes me laugh.
It's a great lyric.
Shut up! Stop laughing at this! This is not a drill!
No jokes today, boogers. After 2 successful legs of the first tour ever tour, we're about to giddy up across the southern U.S. for leg 3, featuring Bear Ghost, Sarah in the Safe Word, and our best mates Redwood on all dates. We'll be in,
Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arizona.
and it's only a couple weeks away. Head over to bearghost.com for tickets and more details. Additional dates may be added. Don't worry, East Coast, we're looking your way. Stay tuned. Now back to us.
Shut up!
Yeah, microchips sure are fun.
Oh my God.
Did we mention that we picked this song literally out of kindness to Tigbot? We just wanted to have a song that made him feel at home
If I had a heart, it would melt.
Little
and
microchips.
fry the rest of your computer circuitry.
Little Microchips was the show that he watched as a child.
Master Chip was his leader with a hero's attitude. One of my favorite things is Andrew just singing all over this freaking thing. Normally,
Terribly.
No, you sound so good.
Nah, oh.
In the original song, both Michael Cassidy and Paul Rust share singing duties. And one of the things, and in this song, they harmonize over the entire thing. And that's one of the reasons I loved the song so much, because I just think that the harmonies are so great. It didn't take too much convincing for Du, but I was like, I'd really like you to sing the whole thing with me. So he sings almost every single part of this song with me. I think you did great.
You even gave me some notes that are well above my normal
You
range.
did some real cool high notes in this one. I think you did a great job.
I was surprised because when I was in the booth, I was like, this is going to be garbage. And it ended up sounding pretty good.
Yeah, that's a digital pitch correction for you.
There was a song that we did. Was it on Jiminy? It was. It was in The Flood. Those ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. Is it 3 harmonies or 2?
Mhm, it's a 3-part harmony.
It's a 3-part harmony, and all 3 of those are me, and you didn't have to pitch any of them.
Yeah, it was great.
That's
Those
me,
are all you?
That's me bragging.
I don't remember that at all. Sounds great, though. But back to Little Microchips. I tried not to feel too beholden to the original song, but also I was clearly beholden by their vocal melodies. Like, I liked that it was kind of ambiguous to which one was the lead. So it's like we could have mixed it so that my vocal was like louder and straight down the center and you were just doing like a supportive harmony. But it just sounds so much cooler for us doing like a System of a Downy like co-lead, System of a Downy Jr. That was good, right, everybody?
We talked on a previous episode about how you kind of fell into being a singer, but first you and I were like sharing lead vocal duties, which neither of us wanted to do. But that was our vision originally. It was like, oh, we can do like a System of a Down thing.
Yeah.
But then you just got so much better than me.
Yep. It's nice to hear you in this song, though.
And if you don't like it, you can blame it all on me being co-lead.
Their original concept was to create a theme song for a children's television show that never existed. So I took that and did kind of like Pokemon / Power Rangers sort of thing is kind of what I was going for. And I was like, I want like a part that would have like a montage of introductions, even though they already did that basically. So I just recorded this whole choir part and sent it to the guys. And I wasn't sure how it was going to be received or if I was going to be able to pull it off. I also had Tigbot come into the studio to make a bunch of glitchy sound effects. You want to do
Oh,
one?
you want me to do
Yeah.
it now? I don't know if I can recreate it as well.
Give it a shot.
And you put him on the spot like that.
Okay.
And then the actual riff at the end there, initially it was just the riff, and then I wrote a lead that was a sound effect that I use in a lot of stuff, but I broke it up and made it really like chippy. And Andrew's critique of that lead was that it sounded like a cat throwing up. So I took that out, and then we just kind of screamed Little Microchips over it, and that was unusable. I didn't put nearly as much guitar in the song as they had in the song. I didn't change anything about the
Well, that's the whole reason you wanted to cover it.
It's the whole reason I wanted to cover it. I didn't change smack doodly about it, a very common phrase. There was a bridge that I wrote for the song and a post-chorus riff that took the song out. And I wanted to put these in the song to like give it something, give it some juice for our listeners. And we liked it way too much. And then Andrew just eventually convinced me to take it out of the song so we could use it for ourselves in an original tune. So
It was way too cool.
it's pretty cool.
Let's use that for something.
Yeah, but now I have to write a whole song around it. And that song's not going to be Little Microchips. Because while I know that this song's not going to create a great level of fame for us, to me, it's the pinnacle of Bear Ghost.
This is why you started the band.
I started the band to eventually do a cover of Little Microchips.
You lied to everybody at the Deer Hunter tour saying that touring with the Deer Hunter was
My
your
number one
ceiling.
goal.
Yeah, it's actually been to cover Little Microchips.
Well, I wanted Deer Hunter to like us so much, and if there's one thing that they like, it's excessive flattery. They were so uncomfortable with me slobbering all over them the whole tour.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
physically
gross.
I physically had to pull you away from them at one point.
So the lead gentleman of the Deer Hunter, his name is Casey. And Andrew at one point was having a conversation with Casey, and he's like, I'm really sorry about Ryan fangirling over you all the time. But Casey had like a really sweet, measured response. And he was like, no, dude, I'm flattered. What kind of asshole would I be if somebody just came and told me how much my music meant to them? And I was like, get away from me. You're gross.
You were slobbering all over.
I was slobbering all over him.
No, they could not have been nicer to us.
Yeah, that was a
But they could have given you money. That would have been nice.
They did give us money.
Oh,
Yeah, dude. And not even when we played for them. So we pulled up and their bus was there and Casey came out in like literally the most radical shirt I've ever seen. I was like, it's now or never. I got to go meet him. And I walked up to him and he gave me $20.
wow.
He gave
what a
me
guy.
10 euros.
He gave you 10 euros. Did he give you anything, Buttons?
No, but I accidentally called him his brother, Nick.
That's why. That's why.
So a funny story about Nick.
Oh, God. Do we want to talk about that?
I think we have to. Nick Crescenzo. They told me how to say their names 100 times. I always say Crescenzo, but I don't know if that's correct. The drummer of the Deer Hunter, Casey's brother, Nick, came into our dressing room at the Belasco.
Belasco, yeah.
They were out of towels in their room.
Each green room had a bathroom with a shower, and ours had a bunch of towels. Now
Because you don't shower.
Yes.
Yeah.
He comes into our room. He's not wearing a shirt. Nobody addresses it. And he goes, I heard you guys have towels in here. Is that true? We're like, yeah, they're over there. And he's like, can I borrow one? Sure. So he goes and he grabs the towel and he's like slowly sauntering out and he stops in his tracks and he goes, so how about my nips, huh?
Which is weird because at the time, like Buttons and I were in like a stunned silence because it was such a dry delivery that we were just like, what? And then later we were like, that was the funniest thing.
We laughed about it in the van for I don't know if I'm joking, maybe 2 hours like afterwards. It was genuinely the funniest thing. So that's why you should all go on tour with the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, it was the best.
really good guys. But I think like a minute later, Casey comes runs back. He's like, "Who's making fun of my brother?" And I was like, "No, I was just admiring his peak male physique. That's all."
The Deer Hunter just released a documentary. It's the most genius thing ever. The whole tour.
Don't spoil it though.
I want it spoiled.
I at least have to tell Tigbot, and then we can cut it out of the podcast.
Oh, man.
Anyways, we just gave Tigbot the whole down low of the Deer Hunter documentary. So everybody go watch it. Casey was very excited about it. And as I was trying to pack up the van, started showing me this documentary while I was carrying a 40 case of water. And I sat there for 15 minutes holding this 40 case of water.
Why did you put it down?
I wanted to be polite. Anyways, this is not a podcast about the Deer Hunter. So this is a podcast about little microchips. I actually think the composition of the song is really good. I like the harmonies very much. We did do the vocals a little bit on the goofy side, but it was still like, let's actually do this. Let's try and sing these really well. And I'm not trying to say that Michael Cassidy and Paul Rust are bad singers, but you know, they're going for a vibe.
Yeah.
I have a hot take. I genuinely think that Paul Rust has an awesome voice. And in the song Tigbot was talking about, Take Me Out, I actually genuinely think he has an awesome voice. And there's been a part of me that wanted to see if I could reach out to them and have Paul Rust guest on a song because I just genuinely like his voice so much.
We can reach out to them.
Cool, do it.
We reached out to Weezer and we got far enough that we got a rejection.
That's true. We tried to get Will Wood to open our CD release show and we offered him an abysmally low amount of money. And that haunts me to this day.
Did you guys offer him like $20?
€10.
Will Wood should not be opening for Bear Ghost. So
This isn't necessarily like people that we reached out to, but just, I guess, missed opportunities, if you'd call it that. But our old band, who was nobody, literally nobody, got reached out to by a nice little upstart company that was nobody at the time called Blue Microphones. And they were like, hey, we want to do a little endorsement deal with you. We're trying to get our name out there. And we were like, you. We didn't take it, and now they're like the biggest. So that was a dumb move on our part. And a couple years ago, one of our label friends got us a deal with Liquid Death when they were just starting up, and we were like, no. And now we
and we love Liquid Death.
Yeah, drink it almost exclusively.
Yeah. Also, back in the days of our old band, we wrote this pirate themed song, and a movie company, a small movie company, but they were just like, we want to buy this song from you, and we'll give you like $40,000. And we were like, absolutely not.
we're not selling our artistry.
We're not selling. And I mean, we wouldn't have anything to show for that $40,000 now.
I might have a car with no payments.
What, you think we were going to give you the $40,000?
I was like, if anything, our manager put so much money into that band, it probably would have just...
That poor guy.
But what's so funny about the pirate song, it was a pirate song, and it was titled The Swashbuckling Rum Run of Tom Lefting.
Yeah.
And we're like, no one's going to make us sell out. We're true artists.
Well, and we wrote that song as a novelty for your little sister's pirate-themed birthday party.
Right.
Yep, which we played at.
I still think it's one of the catchiest tunes.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing something with it, writing new lyrics and new vocal melodies and probably a new verse and probably everything new, and then just giving 25% of it.
Yay. Who's...
Oh, sorry, giving Tigbot 25% of it.
Yay.
When we were talking about what to do with this podcast, it was very much like, we'll do covers of songs we like, and then that'll spin off conversation, and we can talk about why we enjoy these things. And so I thought, well, this will also be a good podcast episode because then I can talk about my love of improv comedy. And now that we're actually in it, I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
I mean, you do love improv comedy, but you immediately shit on everything you like.
I don't like to recommend things to people because everybody has different tastes. And a lot of people are, if you recommend something that they don't like, they just immediately judge your taste. And I don't know what kind of insecurities that, that's
but I
like
mean,
what that says
who
about
cares?
me.
You like it. Just like what you like. You know?
Well, I do. I love Comedy Bang Bang. I've seen Comedy Bang Bang live several times. 5 times at this point.
Maybe.
Yep.
You and I have a lot of similar personality traits. And one of the things I hate is when people suggest things to me because I'm just like, I don't want to listen to that. Even if it's good. If someone just being like, oh man, you should listen to this, just automatically turns me off to it for some reason.
It's
I
so
don't
true.
know why.
And Andrew's not just saying that about like random people. Over the years, the amount of things I've tried to introduce him to as his best friend that he has straight up not listened to and then discovered by himself 2 or 3 years later and been like, have you heard this? This is great. I'm like, oh, ugh.
Yeah, it is unfortunate though, but people love to discover things on their own.
It's true. Just ask Christopher Columbus.
The director?
Yes, he discovered Daniel Radcliffe. And the Native Americans. They were just standing there waiting to be discovered.
When's someone going to discover us?
There's nothing to do here except for count rocks and eat rocks. Speaking of Whitest Kids You Know, Sam Brown was on a recent episode of Scott Hasn't Seen, which is another improv comedy podcast that I like very much.
How's he doing?
He's good. A couple of them have been on Scott Hasn't Seen, Zach Kreger and Sam Brown. And it's weird because Whitest Kids can't do anything because of Trevor Moore's tragic passing.
Right. I heard they're actually going to re-release all their stuff.
They did.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
that's
did
why
already?
Sam Brown
Yeah.
was on Scott Hasn't Seen to talk about it.
Which is great because every time I try and look up one of their videos on YouTube, it's you can't even see it.
Yeah.
It's such bad quality.
Their quality is
Yeah.
tremendously
I like try
awful.
and show people. I'm like, look at this thing I used to like, and then they're like, "What? I can't see." There's five cowboys.
Speaking of bad quality, they finally just released 28 Days Later on streaming services. Have you guys watched it? Mm-mm. Andrew and I watched it not too long ago on a DVD.
No, I have the Blu-ray.
Oh, you have the Blu-ray?
We watched it on the Blu-ray.
First of all, I didn't even know they released a Blu-ray because the quality is notoriously so bad.
Yeah.
But we watched it and we were like, this is the worst looking film of all time. Not that it's not. It's exceptionally shot. It's not like the framing is bad or the cinematography is bad or something like that. They just shot it on like super grainy film.
Paper towels?
Yeah, they shot it on paper towels. Danny Boyle is known for not caring about what he uses to film. So
You excited at all about what's the new one? 28
years later?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't know this because 28 Weeks Later wasn't that great, but remember how awesome the intro was?
Yeah.
Like the opening scene was so awesome. I found out that that's because Danny Boyle didn't direct that movie, but he directed the opening scene.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's
He's
why.
doing the third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's supposed to set up a trilogy. I don't know how I feel about that, but
You mean like 3 more?
3 new movies. This one and then 2 other movies. Yeah. I like Danny Boyle though quite a bit as a
Yeah, me
director.
too.
Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah. That's a Danny Boyle film, baby.
So was Sunshine.
Yeah. The song Danny Boy. He wrote that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
With the ones where the pipers are calling?
Yeah, yes. Wow. What else did Danny Boyle direct? Cats, Citizen Kane.
Wow. This guy's done a lot.
Well, he's done better movies than those, though. Like, what's something recent he did?
Better than Citizen Kane.
I mean, he did Yesterday, but I didn't like that movie.
No,
Oh, I like that movie.
but that's not a very Danny Boyle-esque movie. But I do like that he gets away from being like Danny Boyle-esque. Speaking of Dannys who get away from doing what they're known for, Danny Elfman's score writing. He was known in the early days for being like the bomb guy, and now he just writes scores that can fit into any movie.
Yeah.
I miss his eccentricities. You know, I went and saw Beetlejuice, and I'm not even sure he did the score for that movie. I think it may have just been like and theme by Danny Elfman.
Danny Boyle did Steve Jobs. He did Trance. He did 127 Hours. Yeah, those are all 2010 to 2015. Then he did Trainspotting sequel, Battle of the Sexes, Yesterday, and now 28 years later.
Battle of the Sexes. What was that?
It's Emma Stone and Steve Carell, the Billie Jean King story.
I've never heard of it.
It was
All I know is that Billie Jean is not my brother.
Yeah, Danny Elfman was just a musical producer or something for Beetlejuice.
There we go. Tigbot. All the money we put into your circuitry and programming is finally paying off.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, if you gave me a better modem, but that's fine.
Yeah, you're still running on the modem I used to use to sign into AOL in 1997. Andrew's got more Discord questions here. If it's about cheese,
It's not about cheese.
What was that? Did that when I was shut down?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a whole barrage of cheese questions.
I see.
Yeah. Out of all of the monsters featured in Bear Ghost songs, who would win in a fight?
I mean, maybe the bear ghost, right? He's a ghost.
Is he a ghost?
Well, he's
Is he a ghost of a bear or a bear dressed like a ghost?
He's an ominous
Nobody
scare.
knows.
Let's run them down. Who are the monsters in our songs?
Okay, so we got the bear ghost, obviously. We have 12-year-old werewolf.
We have Stephen Bradley, who I think is a monster, the way Jeffrey Dahmer was a monster.
Yeah.
no, okay.
Or the way Elon Musk is a monster.
Same.
Necromancer, and I guess his hordes of zombies.
Okay, maybe the zombies, but
We have Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's not a monster. He's a wonderful person.
Citizen Kane.
Does Darth Sidious count? We have She-Rex.
I guess the dinosaur kind of counts.
Yeah.
I mean, if people are gonna count.
Did you say the sirens already?
No.
Did you say the
Sirens.
vampire? Did you say the
No,
trees?
I haven't gotten to Jiminy yet. I'm going through everything in order. Then we have All at Once monsters, which we never describe.
They're just amorphous monsters.
Yeah.
They're the monsters from Real Monsters.
And then we have the sirens, the trees. We have the vampire, Banky Blaine.
He's a monster.
He's a
Is
monster.
he a monster?
Like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That one actually is pretty close.
The tadpoles and krakens and shit from Heavy News. That's it, wouldn't it be?
Sure.
So who wins in a fight? If it's really a ghost, I'm still gonna go bear ghost.
I'm voting for the trees and Bark Skimson.
I like that answer.
I don't.
They're the only ones that I'm on the side of. I'd like the trees and the werewolf from 12 Years Howled to team up because his story's just tragic, you know?
I was going to say the trees or the giant frog from Heavy News.
The giant frog from Heavy News freaks me out too much. It's too possible.
I was going to say the sirens because they can sing and make them turn against each other.
Mind control.
I think that these sorts of discussions should be left up to the fans.
Yeah, I
Totally.
agree.
Cop out.
Therefore, this isn't going on the podcast.
We're going to censor this entire. We're not going to cut it. We're just
They
going to
ask you like, who would win, and you're like, that's up to you. It's like,
Who do you think? We're taking your calls right now.
Oh, here's another one that's kind of about our band, and we've talked about this actually amongst ourselves. Are you still planning on making more singles or rather an album?
The problem is we're old and we grew up in a time where albums mattered, and I don't think that they matter as much anymore. I think singles are definitely the way most artists release their music, and I think it works better for a listenership that has a short attention span. Well, we were talking about barbecue last episode, how when it was first released, people didn't take to it immediately, but because it was the only thing that we'd released and it was brand new, they just kept listening to that as a new Bear Ghost song, and then eventually they all loved it. There is a lot of discussions going on with us about like, do we just release an entire album of singles 2 months apart every time to give people the time to actually listen to them?
And then like conglomerate them into a thing
that's
later.
not a terrible idea.
But we still sell so many CDs when we're on tour, and then the vinyls, like those sell. So it's hard, guys, because we don't want to be the whole like, well, what about the money side of it? But genuinely, we're trying to do this.
And in order to do that, we need money.
We need money.
The way that algorithms are nowadays is you want to put out content more often rather than a bunch of content at once in order to get your constant engagement. Every time we put something out, even if it's a dumb cover like the Agatha thing, all of our stuff spikes and then it'll start to drop down. And if we had stuff coming out constantly, then we keep those numbers up or they grow. We get put on playlists when we have new stuff because they'll go on new release playlists automatically. So
I do like the idea of it. Basically, it's just singles that can be an album if you want it to, like once they're all released. However, I think at the end of the day, if there's not like some sort of themed tie-in, at least musically or something like that, then
Right.
is there really a point for an album? But
That's a weird thing that I would actually be interested in hearing what fans have to say. How would they like to consume our music?
yeah.
I don't like that we have to think about this. I don't like the way the musical world works with streaming because there's a lot of negative things to be said about the age of streaming. That we have to worry about like how much content we're putting out, when we're putting it out, all that kind of stuff. I kind of long for the days of, you know, you build up to a release and then that release comes out and everybody goes to the store and buys it and enjoys it. But we wouldn't have a listenership without Spotify literally plucking us out of obscurity and putting us in people's you may like or Discover Weekly feed. So we didn't do it, you know? Maybe that was Tigbot working behind the scenes.
yeah,
Oh, thanks, Tigbot.
doing what I can for you guys.
Okay, well, he's our new manager. What are your thoughts, Buttons?
With the atmosphere, the way it's going, it seems like the singles is the way to go, but it just comes down to engagement and maintaining that engagement with your brand. So, what?
Well, we're just notoriously bad at doing any of that. So
Well, I mean, we need to get better at it. That's one of the reasons we're doing this.
yeah, we definitely need to get better at it. And instead, we've become known for releasing everything late and taking forever to do everything. And it's true, it's deserved. But I just want you guys to know we're not out here like pulling our pud. Where we actually are working on stuff all the time. But like we've talked about, we have full-time jobs. We have full-time lives. You know, I have a child. And until we roll back child labor laws, I can't pay him to do my job for me.
Yes, and so the single release feels better just because in the short term it feels better because we don't want it to be another 5, 6, 7 years before we put an album out.
5, 6, 7 years.
That was 2 weeks ago, Ryan.
Sorry. It gives us the opportunity to release a subpar song that everybody will like because it's all they have to listen to.
Yeah, maybe
Which is
more
good,
people
'cause-
would have liked Bark Skimpson.
I don't know. I think that about sums it up for Little Microchips. Everybody go out and listen to Don't Stop or We'll Die.
Watch Love.
Watch Love. Hashtag us to Don't Stop or We'll Die so that they know that we did their song and that we did it better. And
And hashtag us to Netflix so they know too.
the engagement that we're talking about how we need to get better at, we're not going to do it. So you guys do it for us. That's the way. Anyways, tune in next week when we're going to be talking about Rivers is a Vampire. We'll see you then. Beautiful. I'm going to clip that and turn that into a song because it's gorgeous. Goodbye.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening. Special thanks to our Kickstarter backers. Next week, we will be discussing Rivers in a Vampire. In a Vampire. Join us next week when we discuss Rivers is a Vampire. We will see you then.